All right. Well, I guess it's just a little past 1:30, and I will call the meeting to order. So we have a confirmation of a quorum.
Yes, we do have a quorum, and the press has been notified of the meeting.
All right. So I guess let's move on to attendees introduction. So I can't see. I want to apologize in advance here because I'm a call-in only. I'm driving.
All good.
Is now joining.
So I don't know. I really don't know how to tell everybody to go about introducing themselves here without just jumping in all at once. So, but we'll let everybody just start in and introduce themselves, whoever's on the call. My name again is Craig Brock. I'm the chair of this committee at this time, and I'm the executive director down at Bell Whitley Community Action Agency in Pineville. So, moving on, whoever's on the call, just start introducing yourself best you can.
Dave Crayer, People's Self-Help Housing, and I represent the rural nonprofits and also secretary of the Housing Policy Advisory Committee.
Hi, this is David Allgood with the Center for Accessible Living. I'm a proxy for Susan Tharp.
Hi, this is Lona Brewer. I'm proxy for Secretary Goodman of the Energy and Environment Cabinet.
Hi, this is Susan Reber. I am proxy for the Lieutenant Governor.
Good afternoon. This is Vicki Bowling. I'm with the Cabinet for Health and Family Services.
Hi, this is Becky Rohrig. I'm with River City Housing in Louisville. I represent urban nonprofit developers.
I'm Dean Loy with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet.
Hi, this is Bev Merrill. I'm from Welcome House up in Covington, and I'm the nonprofit representative and the vice chair.
Hi, this is Cassie Hudson, Executive Director of Partnership Housing.
Lonnie Campbell, Kentucky Association of Counties.
Abraham William Housing Authority of Bowling Green.
Deborah Knight from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Wilma Kelly with Fayetteville Housing and Development Corporation. I represent the advocate for economically diverse rural housing.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Benjamin Siegel. I'm General Counsel for the Department of Housing, Buildings, and Construction. Here's a proxy for Commissioner Rick Rand.
This is Scott McReynolds with the Housing Development Alliance.
Mike Turner with the Housing Authority of Burkesville.
This is Adrienne Bush with the Homeless and Housing Coalition of Kentucky.
This is Winston Miller with the Kentucky Housing Corporation.
Did that get everybody? There's a silence there.
Ann Anderson. I'm a resident at Willie C. Plaza, a part of Louisville Metro Housing.
I am Anita Sanford. I am the CEO for the Home Builders Association of Kentucky.
Well, I'll introduce myself. I'm Wendy Smith with Kentucky Housing Corporation.
I'm Carla Hale with Kentucky Housing Corporation.
Did that get everybody, Carla, as far as you can see? Or?
I can't see. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, that's the blind leading the blind with me here, so I'm doing the best I can. I don't. If there's anybody else who hadn't introduced themselves that's on the call, feel free to jump right in there.
This is Curtis Stroffer, KHC.
All right. Well, I guess that does it. Like I say, I don't really have any way of knowing, but it went a lot better than I thought it would.
Is now joining. We just have one person admitted, Craig.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Who was that? Somebody just joined us there?
Yeah, there's someone I admitted in, but I didn't catch who it was.
Okay.
It might be Kelly. It might be Kelly Reynolds, who is with KHC. Is that you, Kelly? Oh well. Let's keep going.
Oh. Well, maybe you've got her muted. I don't know. Anybody else?
It is Kelly. It's Kelly. It's Kelly that just joined. I'm sorry. I can't get my computer to connect for some reason, so I'm on the phone. So I'm just going to mute.
All right. Kelly Reynolds?
Yep.
All right. Anyone else that we missed? Well, I guess that's it. If not, feel free to just jump in and talk over me. Like I say, it went a lot better than I had envisioned. I guess I saw everybody talking over each other, and it was just going to be complete mumbo jumbo, but it didn't work that way. So it worked out really good. So how about public participation? Do we have any? We've been notified of anything there? Do we have anybody on the line?
No one is notified. No one did. Craig has notified us of any public participation.
Okay, moving on then to administrative items. I'd like to welcome and introduce Anita Sanford. She did briefly introduce herself there, but I have a bio here for Anita Sanford, CEO, Vice President of Home Builders Association of Kentucky, statewide trade organization comprised of 5,000 member companies representing the housing and construction industry. Anita is an accomplished professional with over 19 years of progressive experience in government relations, association management, specifically in the real estate industry. Previously, Ms. Sanford served as Vice President of Government Affairs for the HVAC, a position she has held since 2014, which directs housing and building industry policies and objectives involving local, state, and federal government affairs. She's a native of Bowling Green. Anita received a bachelor's degree from Western Kentucky University. Go Hawkers. Anita currently serves on the board of directors of the Hearing and Speech Center, is involved in junior achievement of the Bluegrass, and is the Kentucky Volunteer Family Empowerment Representative for RettSyndrome.org. So welcome to Anita Sanford. And also we had Ann Anderson, who introduced herself briefly. I don't have a bio for Ann, but welcome to Ann Anderson of Louisville. So welcome and appreciate you guys being newest members here. And as far as an updated member list, do we have anyone or anything else that needs to be added to the member list?
Craig, an updated list was included in everybody's packet, thanks to Carla.
Yeah, and I just wanted to see if everything was right on that.
Yes.
And if not, I guess notify Carla if anything's out of line or if we need to change something on that list.
Sounds good.
All right. Otherwise, we can move on to item number 3 here, consideration approval of minutes of meeting held January 26, 2021. When you make a motion to accept the minutes, please state your name and as with a second as well, so we'll know who's making that motion. Sometimes it's hard to tell over the phone here. So do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting held?
This is Becky Rohrig with River City Housing. I'll move to approve the minutes.
All right, thank you.
This is Wilma Kelly, Available Housing. I'll second it.
All right, thank you, Wilma. All in favor of approving the minutes as read there, as held, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any opposed?
No.
Phyllis.
Is now joining.
That's there, but hearing none, minutes approved. And moving right on to the item number 4 here, the mission moment, and that is Abraham Williams and Mike Turner.
Hi, this is Abraham Williams. We have a small presentation of some of the programs that we do here at the Housing Authority of Bowling Green. We've been pretty successful. Housing Authority of the Year several times. CERT leader. And I have Ms. Katie Miller who will present our program. Thank you so much.
Sorry, I just need to share my screen.
If you look in the top right-hand corner next to the leave button, you ought to be able to see a box with an arrow that you can click to share your content.
Top left hand.
Right-hand corner.
Right hand.
Next to the leave button. I'm not sure, maybe it looks a little different on your computer.
It must. It says I can open.
We're seeing your screen now.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so I will start off. I'm Katie Miller. I am the Special Projects Director at the Housing Authority of Bowling Green. And Mr. Williams has asked that I share a few of the programs that we offer here. So this is just a little bit about us. We have 598 public housing units, about 1,400 residents, and this is a breakdown of ages as well as ethnicity. As you can see, about 40% of our population are immigrants, whether they're Eastern European, African, Hispanic, Middle Eastern, Asian. So we have a wide variety of individuals that we serve here at the Housing Authority of Bowling Green. In June of 2018, we were named an Envision Center. We were one of the first 17 in the United States to be named this. And Envision Center's purpose are like centralized hubs that provide resources and support for people to excel. They have 4 main pillars, which are health and wellness, character and leadership, educational advancement, and economic empowerment. So we have a multitude of programs that meets these 4 pillars. So for our youth programs, we have 1 large learning center that's about 10,000 square feet. This kind of started in 1996. We really started in a 3-bedroom unit. One of our developments, the principal that those kids served said that his kids can't learn and they were holding her school back. So he said, fine, I'll take that into action. So he created an after-school program. And that has grown, and now we have a 10,000 square foot facility that has classroom space, a commercial kitchen, 2 computer labs, as well as desktop computers, and 2 libraries in that main learning center. And the picture's up there at the top. We currently have 2 locations. One is at Bryant Way, which is another development that's a little farther out from where many of our other developments are. We provide tutoring, homework assistance, and educational enrichment activities. We focus on math, reading, and science. We serve about 220 students a year. We mainly use Western Kentucky University students who are tutors, and they also have a program called America Reads, where it's a federal work study program, and Western pays them, and we just provide the site. And that has been beneficial, very beneficial to our program because we don't incur the cost of having those tutors on site. We also have a teen club that meets on Mondays and Thursdays, and they focus on college and career readiness, whether that be filling the FAFSA, scholarship applications. If they have certain interest, if they're interested in, hey, being culinary artists, then we kind of steer them, help them with those programs to find out what high school courses they should be taking to do that. Our summer program runs 8 to 5 daily. It's a 7-week program, and we serve kindergarten through 12th grade. We continue to focus on the core curriculum. We also have a master level teacher that comes and helps our students who are on lower levels, who aren't reading at their current grade level. She focuses with them one-on-one to help bring them up to level. We do middle and high school career exploration. And then we also, pre-COVID, we had a China Bridge program where we would send 7 students to China each year. And the students raised their own money to go to China. We sold raffle tickets, we had barbecue dinners, silent auction, yard sales, whatever they needed to do, but we would send students to China each year. That is funded. We receive a United Way grant, and we also receive our payment in lieu of taxes, as well as we have an annual roast each year where we roast a community member. New programs we have started, it's called Power G. It's police officers with empowered responsible girls. This is a partnership we created with the Bowling Green Police Department. Their female officers come over and work with our middle school and high school girls one-on-one. It was one of those things, many times youth would see a police officer come to their door, they would assume somebody was in trouble, they were taking mama or daddy, somebody, they were being removed from the house. This has created a positive relationship with our girls, with the police officers. So it's been an exceptional program, and the girls will call police officers if they're having issues or problems. They just need somebody to talk to. So they've really created that strong bond. Some of the adult programs that we offer, we have a welfare to work program. This is individuals who are receiving KTAP. So instead of receiving their monthly paycheck each month, they come on site. They work 32 hours a week, and on Fridays they get job and life skills training. So we've had about an 80% success rate of keeping people off KTAP once they have entered our REACH Hire program. We also have a REACH program where individuals can work up to 40 hours a week here on site at the Housing Authority. They can work in the cabinet shop, maintenance, receptionist. So we provide our residents with on-hand job training programs. Our homeownership program, we provide pre-purchase, post-purchase, as well as budget and credit counseling on site here at the Housing Authority. We also have a family self-sufficiency program that targets just 50 public housing residents, and she helps with education. They're having issues with childcare, home ownership, and a wonderful benefit of this program is they receive an escrow account. So if their rent is to increase, that increase goes into an escrow account for them, and they can use that to start a small business, go back to school, or use it for a home purchase. We also received neighborhood stabilization funds several years ago, and we were able to purchase and rehab 15 foreclosed homes, as well as build 10 new homes in the Lee Square subdivision. These were all sold to low to moderate income home buyers, and the top picture kind of shows one of the houses that we built in our Lee Square neighborhood. We also have a Sherwin-Williams homework program where Sherwin-Williams comes here 2 times a year and teaches participants the proper way to paint, what paints to use. And they also do lead-based paint removal instruction as well. Then we also have a community garden greenhouse that is adjacent to our Envision Center. And currently we have about 32 different families who have plots in the community garden. It's really cool to see because a lot of those are African immigrants. They like to grow what's native to their country and their land. So they'll be over there working in the garden, and they'll have the babies on the back, and they'll have the food on top of their head, packing it. Like it's cool to see. So, and we also receive funding for that from the Warren County Conservation District. We also have elderly and disabled programs. We have about 260 elderly disabled residents. So she helps them get out of their house, whether that be bingo, Keno, they have a walking club. She also does some health awareness camps about blood sugar, blood pressure, how to talk to your doctor if they need. We also provide transportation to doctor's appointments. We also have an adult literacy class because we learned that many of our residents had about a 3rd, 4th grade reading level because when they got to middle school and high school, they dropped out of school to help families, to help, their family, whether it be working on the farm or whatever it was. So they've come a long way, as simple as reading basic recipes. We had one tenant who couldn't even tell you what her address was. So now she knows her address, she can say it. So it's a great little program that we have. A new program we recently started is our small business development program. This targets minorities, women, and low to moderate income individuals for small business ownership or enhancement. So we offer counseling, business training, how to write a business plan. Some of these participants also work with WKU's entrepreneurship program, and they're also eligible for microloans of up to $10,000 through this board. So we've also built relationship with local banks, so we can send those to the banks to make the loan for part of the bank's CRA. So we've done about 8 loans to date, equaling, I think, $75,000. So it's been a really beneficial program to help low to moderate income minorities and women start small businesses. We also have a mobile grocery. This kind of started, we did not have a grocery store in our main development. It was listed as a food desert by the USDA. So we thought the best way to do this is we'll just put a grocery store on wheels. So Warren County Public Schools donated a bus. We painted it, we refurbished it. There's the picture of what the bus, we have a freezer and a cooler, refrigerator on the bus. So we offer a variety of different things from milk to bananas to whatever you name. We've got about 135 different things on the bus. And we recently did start accepting EBT, so that's been very beneficial to the Housing Authority as well as other low-income neighborhoods in the Warren County area, because we make about 30 stops a week. Some of the other programs we have a licensed daycare on site. We do offer ESL classes. We have a clothing bank where individuals, if they have a job interview or their kids are going back to school and they need clothes, we open that up to them. We have a Section 202 project, which is 36 one-bedroom low-income apartments. We also just finished constructing 20 new affordable housing units. These are rental, and the picture's kind of up in the top picture. So we've got 4 2-bedrooms and 16 one-bedroom units that we rent to individuals who are 55 and older. And we're currently working on a small business development center to go along with our pop-up program. We're turning 1 unit in housing into 2 different small businesses. It'll be like a salad shop, hot dogs on one side, and then the other side will be a bakery. And we also have received notification that about a 20,000 square foot facility here in downtown Bowling Green, we're going to be able to turn that into a small business development center as well, where we'll be able to offer 6 to 7 different businesses a location that will have reduced rent for up to 4 years, so they can get situated and get started, because many of the times the barriers that we have seen with small business owners is that rent is just outrageous and they can't afford the rent the first few years. So we're going to work to create that as well. We also have some Section 8 rental units. We have a church that is in one of our facilities that rent from us each month. We also have a garden house, and we also purchase and rehab homes, as well as we have a cabinet shop on site as well that can be custom cabinets. Pretty much anything that you need, our cabinet shop can do. I know that was really quick and I talked really fast. So does anybody have any questions or anything?
I will just say
I think it's
go ahead.
It's an amazing array of programs that you have.
Thank you.
Yes, it is very impressive. You all are helping a great number of folks. It's very impressive.
Yes, I agree. That was a whole bunch of stuff.
Abraham, I live in Marion County, and the Western Kentucky public radio station is what comes in best at my house. And so I hear a lot of great stories about you all, the mobile grocery, the community garden. Just really impressive how you all have seen your role as so much bigger than just housing.
Yes, we've been very fortunate, and Katie's our grant writer, to receive a lot of grants, but we have a lot of partnerships, especially with Western, the City of Bowling Green, the county government. So we can do a lot, but you can't do it without a lot of partners. And we've been KHC loans, Department of Local Government loans. So we've been able to do quite a few things to help our residents. And just in case if KC have some more money, we'll be glad to take their money if you have.
Good to know.
Yeah. Anybody got any questions about that impressive list of services that Abraham and his folks provide? If not, next up, Terrence Sullivan was supposed to be giving us an overview of fair housing, but I think something came up and he's unable to do that today. So we'll skip on down to item 6, weatherization program. And I think Wendy might be going to say something about the HVAC serving as a policy advisory committee. You want to talk about that?
If it's okay, Craig, I'm going to let Kelly Reynolds give a program update first, and then we'll talk about that. I'm flipping it. You got it right, but I'm just flipping it.
Perfect.
Okay, sorry. It's a little challenging when you call in by the phone to unmute yourself, but that's okay. I will be very quick with this program update. In our last meeting, we talked about weatherization and using HPAC as our policy advisory committee, and Wendy's going to talk a little bit about that when I finish. But we have a Department of Energy state plan due next week. It's in pre-review with our project officer right now. We had a public hearing over the state plan on April 15th. The state plan is basically the same thing it was last year. We have very few changes, but we did highlight those changes in the public hearing, and I'll highlight what those changes are for you. They were great changes. Can you all still hear me?
I can again now.
Okay, sorry. I got a little message that I had been muted, so I don't know how far we got, but we'll talk about what those changes are in the Department of Energy state plan. The first thing is, by federal legislation that was passed in January, we will be changing the re-weatherization date. That date has been October 1st, 1994, and what that means is if you had weatherization after October 1st, 1994, you cannot receive it again. There's been a lot of just scientific changes in weatherization measures since 1994. As you can imagine, it's been a long time ago. And so states have lobbied and have asked for that change for quite some time. This is a federal, and it will be a rolling 15-year date on reweatherization. We are waiting for some guidance from the Department of Energy as to what that means and what the legislation means, because there's some quirky language in it regarding other federal programs providing weatherization activities. So DOE is trying to get a handle on how it's going to roll out, but that is a change, and that was legislative. Another legislative change is that we traditionally get 10% admin on the Department of Energy grant, and we split. KHC keeps half of the admin for themselves, and we give half of the admin to the subgrantees. So this year, by legislation approval, we are changing, that is changing to 15%. So it's increasing from 10% to 15%. We suspect that that is in the legislation, and that will continue for years to come. The other nice thing about the Department of Energy is for subgrantees that receive less than $250,000 in their allocation, which all of ours do, we can actually get them an additional 5% of admin. So it is really nice for our agencies. They're going to see an uptick in their admin this year, which is going to be extremely helpful. We also are having to do virtual monitorings. So we are required by regulation to monitor at least 10% of the completed jobs that our subgrantees do. We adhere to that, but what that means is we are out in clients' homes actually just testing and making sure that the work that the weatherization crews or contractors have done is done correct and appropriately. In order to do that, we're in clients' homes, but right now we are trying to stay out of clients' homes as much as possible for their health. And so we are doing virtual monitorings. We have started those in the last 30 days. We had to get a plan approved by the Department of Energy, but in order to continue those virtual monitorings, we had to include that in our state plan that we are submitting, which would start July 1st. So that was a change. We will go back to in-person monitorings when we can, but until we can, we will continue on a virtual monitoring process. And then the other thing that we did with this state plan is our average cost per unit for our completions are higher than what we are allowed to have by the regulation and by legislation for the Department of Energy grants. So what they allow us to do is to combine grant years. We were able to do that last year because of COVID, and we didn't think we would meet our averages, and they gave us the choice to do that again this year, so we're doing that again this year. What it allows us to do is it becomes a 3-year combined budget, but it allows us to use the higher average cost per unit, so it works to benefit our agencies. So that was the other change, and that was it. So we didn't really get any pushback in our public hearing about any of those changes because they were all good and made a whole lot of sense. The virtual monitoring was the only drastic change, but we had reviewed that in a statewide meeting in March very thoroughly, so there weren't any questions about that. And that's it. Any questions? Any comments?
All positive.
All positive, that's right.
Thanks, Kelly. So the next item we would like to have HPAC consider is at our January meeting, Kelly laid out that for our weatherization program, which currently focuses on, moderate and low income homeowners across the state, weatherizing their homes to bring down their utility costs. That program requires, the Department of Energy requires that we have a weatherization policy advisory committee like HPAC, and we would like to roll the weatherization PAC into HPAC. And Dave Crair pointed out quite right that this really is something that the HPAC committee should consider and vote on, because it would require an addition to the roles section of the charter. And Dave, I don't know if you want to say anything about that or advise in any way on that matter.
Well, I haven't changed my mind since the last meeting. I do think it's a very good fit for the Housing Policy Advisory Commission charter, and we would certainly welcome including that in our things to do.
So I guess then, Dave, if you saw fit to make a motion, you could do so to get it started or have some discussion.
Well, since it's a good fit, I would be glad to make a motion to include the weatherization program in the Housing Policy Advisory Committee charter.
All right, we need a second.
This is David Allgood. I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second. I guess we need everybody in favor to vote to say aye.
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 Who seconded? I had some echo going on my end here.
Yeah, me too.
David Allgood.
Oh, David. Okay, thanks.
David and David.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so we got a motion, a second. We got a bunch of ayes. Do we have any nays? If not, I guess the motion to add that to the charter carries, and we'll do so.
Very good. Thank you all. We can skip those slides.
So next up is, I guess, unless there's any more discussion about that, next up will be the KHC update, and that's Wendy again.
Thank you, Craig. I am going to mute everyone just so we don't get too much feedback, so don't take it personally, but I am going to mute everybody. So I'm going to share with you all a couple of updates. One is basically how our current eviction rent and utility relief program is going, which we are running under the name Healthy at Home Eviction Relief. And then I'm going to share with you all an overview of the funding, housing-related funding included in the American Rescue Plan Act that just passed March 11th. We don't have any of those dollars yet, but we are beginning to think about them and plan about them. They're not all coming to us. Some are coming to organizations or properties across the state. But I wanted to give you all this overview because we are beginning to talk internally and plan internally and talk with some partners just very generally right now because we need a lot of details from Treasury or HUD. But I want you all to get a snapshot of what this funding looks like, and I welcome ideas here and or in follow-up conversations as you see fit. So first, I'll give you this super big picture overview. Let me make sure I've got the right slide next. Yes, okay. So there have been two big buckets, two big pieces of legislation that affect housing as it relates to work that KHC does. So the first is, we just call it the acronym CRISA. It was passed December 27th. And in that was a significant amount of funding for eviction relief. Treasury calls it the Emergency Rental Assistance Program 1.0. And this funding came to the balance of state and then to Louisville and Lexington. They got direct grants as well. The three of us have coordinated our program designs so that renters get an identical amount of assistance in all three jurisdictions. And we talk every other week about the program and troubleshoot. Some of our program documents are even the same on the back end. The application process is different among the three of us, but again, the assistance and the program design is the same, and that's very intentional. So that is rent and utility relief. And I'll talk about our program, Healthy at Home, in just a minute, but that, again, will be a very similar program across Louisville, Lexington, and the rest of the state. So that was passed in December. We are currently using those funds. We have those came to the Commonwealth, to the Finance Cabinet, and then through a MOA subgranted to KHC. So under the American Rescue Plan Act, there are 4 buckets of funding that will come to KHC, not to KHC exclusively, but we will be a significant administrator. I'm going to go over these in more detail, so I'm going to give you the really high level and then keep going, and we will revisit this table at the end of my presentation. So we are going to get another tranche of emergency rental assistance. Treasury is calling that 2.0. As you can see, for the overall state, it's just under $235 million. And then there will be a program akin to that for homeowners to help homeowners who are risking foreclosure, who are behind on their mortgage, behind on taxes, insurance, that kind of stuff, to help them stay in their homes. We can also, with that, help with utilities for homeowners, which we know is a need because we have had a lot of homeowners try to apply through the Healthy at Home Eviction Relief, which is only for renters. So that's the Homeowner Assistance Fund. The next one is just a phenomenal amount of the increased dollars in a program we already administer called the Home Program, but these are specifically earmarked to house people at risk of or experiencing homelessness. So a very unique use for these funds, and we can do rent assistance. We could do conversion of hotel motels into very small apartments or non-congregate shelter. We can fund services, although that's not something we've ever been allowed to do with this money. So we're awaiting a lot more information from HUD about that. And we can also fund operating grants with this money for nonprofits linked with the activities that we're funding. We need a lot more information, and HUD has said they might get us a memo in like August, July or August, and then we might not get full guidance until this fall. So we are eager to know more about that. And as you can see, there are other localities also getting that home funding. Those are entities that already get these dollars, but they're getting an extra allocation of these dollars for a very specific use. And then lastly, we and other public housing authorities across the state that administer housing choice vouchers or Section 8 vouchers, as most people know them, will be getting a new allocation of additional vouchers for people at risk of homelessness or experiencing homelessness. So this is, we don't know any details about this yet, how many vouchers it could be. We do know that they will only last for a certain period of time. And then whoever the last family or household is that's using those vouchers, probably it's at the end of September 23, whoever's using that is the last family or household to use that voucher. And once they are no longer utilizing it, we will not be able to reissue the voucher. Again, we are awaiting a lot more detail on this. HUD has not said, is every public housing authority that administers HCV programs, are we all going to get some of these? Is it some? We don't know any details yet. Okay, so just to go back to that first column, the Treasury Emergency Rent Assistance 1.0, which passed December 27th. This funding, again, came to us in Louisville and Lexington. All three of us are doing this as lump sum payments to landlords and or utilities. Folks can apply for one or the other or both. And we will cover up to 12 months of arrears going back to April 1 of 2020 and 3 months of future rent and or utility costs. So everyone who gets help with arrears will also get 3 forward months of help. Abraham may be interested to know, public housing authorities can apply for this if you have tenants who are not paying the tenant portion of their rent and they're in arrears. You and that tenant can apply and we can cover their arrears if they're behind. We have had a number of public housing authorities indicate that their receivables are growing, that folks owe them rent. Even if it's modest rent, it's money that the public housing authority needs. So again, KHC is administering this on behalf of the Commonwealth as the Healthy at Home Eviction Relief Program. It is important that you all know we expect to have enough money to help all eligible applicants that get us a complete application. We don't expect to run out of the funds before we've been able to help most any household that needs the help. They do have to be eligible, of course, and all of that is on our website. I'll give you just a few bits of information about how we're doing so far. So again, that legislation passed December 27th. We launched our online application February 15th. We were one of only 6 states to launch that early. There are still quite a few states that have not begun taking applications for this program yet. We have onboarded 70 plus staff to work this. We, so far as of this morning, have received over 11,200 applications. About 9,100 of them are complete or complete-ish. We often have to do a lot of legwork to get all of the documentation required. Most of our applicants, more than 80%, earn half of area median income or less. So we are really seeing the predominant number and amount of assistance payments going to lower income Kentuckians, which is the goal. That's a good thing. Right now we have over $28 million in assistance requested. We haven't paid it all out. We've only processed $9 million so far. So as you can see, we have a backlog. But we are starting to see our productivity grow. So we are hopeful that we're going to make some leaps in productivity and really get caught up on our backlog. But again, while we're backlogged, we do not expect to run out of funding. So that's, hang in there if you're waiting on a payment from us. This is just the application website. If you Google Healthy at Home Eviction Relief, you'll find it. It is team kyhherf.gov. In the PDF that I sent out to everyone, this is one of the slides, and there are links to the program flyers. If you do want to print those out or email those to folks, we have English and Spanish versions of the flyers. So I encourage you all to get the word out. If you know someone who you think might need help with rent or utilities. Again, this program is only for renters. We do expect to be rolling out a program for homeowners in the coming months. We're waiting on a lot of guidance from Treasury about that program. Okay, so now on to the American Rescue Plan Act, which was just passed March 11th. So I gave you all this overview of the programs that we think KHC will administer along with some other grantees in the state. There are also two other areas where funding will be coming to Kentucky. Housing counseling organizations will be getting grants, and then USDA RD rental properties and homeowners with loans with the USDA, there's some special assistance coming for them. So again, we're getting a second tranche of this emergency rent assistance. It is very similar to the first bucket of funding, but it has some additional flexibilities that are making us really think about deploying it quite differently. So we can do rent and utility assistance. We can do housing stability services. We can serve folks up to 80% of area median income. And we are just beginning, and if you want to have a conversation, let's do it, to talk with partners about what are the ways we might deploy the second round of funding through maybe sub-grants to partners across the state. We might keep some for healthy at-home eviction relief, but we have a lot of funding in that already. We're probably not going to need all of this second bucket. And we could look at things like rehousing the homeless, hotel motel stays, security and utility deposits, to help folks get housed, get rehoused. Assistance to help those who are leaving recovery housing or leaving incarceration. Legal services, those are the kind of things we could potentially fund with this second round of funding, and do it a little bit differently in addition to healthy at-home eviction relief. So we would keep that going, but this funding could basically be a little more dispersed in terms of getting it out across the state to partners that are already working with the households and could get them help. The Homeowner Assistance Fund, which I mentioned, this is again also coming from Treasury, and this is to help homeowners experiencing financial hardship during the pandemic. It can go up to 150% of area median income, but we really have to target most of the funds to households at median income and those that are socially or economically disadvantaged. We administered a program similar to this during the last recession. It was called the Hardest Hit Fund. And our primary function was that we worked with housing counseling agencies and we paid loan servicers, so the bank that held the mortgage, we got people caught up, and sometimes we even paid a mortgage over time. This funding can do the same thing. It even has a little more flexibility. So we are right now really trying to understand what we're allowed to do, how we're allowed to do it. Lots more detail needed on this. And then I mentioned that we are getting a significant increase. So we're getting almost $52 million in home dollars. We usually get about 12 or 13 million in a program year. We are still getting our regular program year funding. This is on top of that. So it's unprecedented, and not just in the amount, but in the earmarking to house and give services to people at risk of or experiencing homelessness. It's really unique. We can use it for rent assistance, to develop permanent housing, to fund supportive services, to buy and develop non-congregate shelters, and to do operating grants. So it's really unique. We've never had this much of this kind of funding. And it will require internal coordination with some KHC departments and some external coordination with our homelessness shelter and service providers across our continuum of care, which is 118 counties. And then again, I mentioned that we and other public housing authorities will be getting more Section 8 housing choice vouchers. to house the homeless or people who are at risk of homelessness. Again, we don't have a lot of detail about this. HUD has not released any specifics about what this might look like. But we are eager to do this because we already have a program to house the homeless who are also disabled through special vouchers. And so we've built a partnership with our continuum of care, and this would expand that. And then other funding that's not likely to come to KHC is there's going to be funding for housing counseling. This is expected to go to NeighborWorks America, which is a national organization, and then they would do subgrants out across the country. And it would be anything from helping people who are facing eviction, in mortgage default, have lost income, homelessness. It could really be a broad range of housing counseling. And then some USDA directed assistance to help multifamily properties, so rural development multifamily properties that have lost rent income and need help, and home loan borrowers who have a USDA home loan can get some loan modifications so that they don't go into foreclosure. So that's a lot. And so the table I showed you in the beginning is a recap of all of those programs that we expect to administer some portion of or all of. I want to emphasize that we don't have any of this funding yet, and we are awaiting. We've been really impressed with Treasury. They have been just really hands-on, really communicative, but they are literally laying the tracks as the train is, right up against them. So we are awaiting a lot of guidance. But I felt like this was a committee that ought to kind of have a sense of how big this is. It's probably a once in a career occurrence for me that we might face that our constraining challenge might not be money for the next several years. It might be capacity. The ability for us, for our partners to get ready for and utilize these funds, but do it in a way that when the money goes away, it doesn't break us or, cripple us, that we really do it intentionally and thoughtfully. And my goal would be that we use these funds to help folks with immediate pandemic related emergencies, but also maybe to address things that have always been problems. That have always been underfunded. So it's an amazing opportunity. Everybody keeps saying it's a good problem to have. It's still a problem that we have to think about how we get this capacity, but it's a pretty unique thing for us as an affordable housing community to work on. And I'll stop there. If anybody has questions, if you have really detailed ideas, maybe we should make a time to talk separately, but if anybody wants to ask questions, I'm open to that.
Wendy,
this is Becky.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, Wendy, I was thinking for the ARP funding for the homelessness funds, if we do deem that these funds can be spent on some of that transitional housing out of recovery, I'd be happy to help you with that or do what's needed. Obviously, I've worked with Mike Townsend a lot and certainly with our recovery community, and I know that they would appreciate that, and especially with the pandemic exacerbating some of our recovery efforts.
Well, Susan, I'm giving a version of this at 3 o'clock today to the recovery centers. So yeah, I really want them, I'd like their thoughts about how we help people who are exiting, be stable when they exit recovery housing.
Great, thank you.
Becky, did you want to ask something?
This is Becky with River City Housing. I was just going to say it's clearly a huge amount of work that you all are about to take on. And I don't think, HPAC clearly wants to support that and not be in the way of any of that. Is there anything that you need from HPAC other than our support and awareness?
I need the resumes of wickedly capable project managers. That's what I need. I appreciate that. I think, either via meetings or in between meetings, if you have ideas or people you really think we ought to talk to, I feel like right now we have this opportunity to gather ideas and think big about what we might do, but there's going to have to be this necessary narrowing where it's just what are we going to focus on and how are we going to get it done? And then we're going to be deep in the mechanics of that. So right now I feel like is the time for ideas before we have to kind of lock it down and get going. I appreciate you asking that, Becky. Thank you all.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Wendy. Very detailed. And I'm sure most people will be, trying to ring you up to see what they can do to get some of that money. I mean, that's going to be a challenge.
And I will say, Craig, if you're not signed up for our e-grams, please do sign up for them, because if we do funding rounds, whether they're abbreviated or traditional, we will always announce it through e-grams. So if you want to be sure you're aware of it, please do sign up for those. Most of you probably are, but I just want to reiterate that.
So you're saying we shouldn't be calling you at home on your cell phone talking about this later?
You can call me. You can call me, but I'm not carrying around a briefcase of American Rescue Plan Act money. So I would do both. You can call me and sign up for the e-grams.
Okay, I was hoping you'd meet me at the local 7-Eleven with a briefcase full of cash. Don't sound like that's going to work out, but thank you anyway. It does sound like an unprecedented amount of money that's being thrown at this whole thing. So hopefully we will use it wisely and be able to someday pay it back. If there is no more questions about that, moving on to next item on the agenda would be informational items or announcements. Does anybody have anything they need to announce or any information we need to know about? If not, I don't have anything. So next up would be suggestions for agenda topics for our July 27th meeting. I'm not sure if our July 27th meeting will be like this, some kind of hybrid deal, video conference, or if we're ever going to get back in person. That's above my pay grade, so I don't know. I would much prefer to get back to meeting in person, but Andy's not taking my call, so I'm not sure what we're going to do. But if anybody has any suggestions, I guess just get with Carla on those for the next meeting, and we can go from there. And if all hearts and minds are clear,
Daryl Overstreet
is now exiting.
So if there's nothing else to talk about, I guess we just need a motion for adjournment.
This is Susan. I'll make the motion.
All right. I'm sure somebody will second it.
This is Vicki Bowling. I will second.
Okay. We are adjourned.
See y'all in July.
It's nice to see everybody. Bye-bye.
Is
Thank
now
you.
exiting.